We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice long
Welcome
hair
back
and
to
you know
the
that
Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Just search for Unbearable Sports. What is going on, Bears fans? The Chicago Bears end up winning, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals and winning 47-42. How are we feeling out there, everybody? 5-3. I see Drax out there, Ron, Squeegee, Joe, Bear down, everybody that's out there. But how are we feeling? I feel like I've grown a couple gray hairs as this season has progressed, because we've had these absolutely just crazy ends of games, crazy series of games. And this game, you know, like I think I predicted 31-27 Bears victory, or like 31-24 or something like that. Little did we know it was going to be 47-42. The line was like 50 points. Slammed the over, absolutely crazy. But man, it was nuts. It was absolutely crazy. And just at the very end, you saw them score 15 points in a matter of 50 something seconds, and then the Bears come back and end up winning it at the very end. But hey, this is something like what Ben Johnson has said. This team would not do these in the past, or I think it was Kevin Byard that talked about this. Like everybody's kind of talked about this. This is not what this team did back then, and the fact that they were able to come back and win speaks volumes of the team, because you did it on the road. Now, we're going to have a lot of criticism, as we always do, about what went wrong, and also we'll talk about what went right. And something that went very, very right was the one and only Kyle Monangai. As we saw out there, Kyle Monangai was somebody that, like many people know, as soon as we drafted him, I absolutely loved it. But man, he went off. And I know that the Bengals don't have a good run defense. We talked about that on the show, that they're one of the worst run defenses. But the fact that you were able to be so reliable, I think that the big thing that I came to take away with Kyle Monangai is you saw the running. You saw the dominance. You saw the nonstop motor that he had, and just continuously got the ball. But then too, I thought that he was good in the run game and also good in pass pro. He looked like an every down type of back. And it actually, one of the questions that he got in a post-game interview, I think it was with ESPN 1000, but they were talking about, like, you were an every down back. And that's what he did today, because there was no one else there. Britton Brown got 5 carries in kind of relief time, but Monangai was the guy. And DJ Moore, only 1 carry. I lost a decent chunk of change because I had a good amount of money on DJ Moore over 1.5 carries, because I was like, okay, they've done this DJ Moore thing and they've always handed it off to him, and we don't have any running backs on the active roster really, except for Monangai. But Monangai was the guy. DJ Moore only gets one on an end around, which I'm fine with him not being a running back. But the fact that they took DJ Moore out of the running back game plan when Monangai is really the only guy that was out there, and then Britton Brown came in and ran the ball very well too. Monangai looked great. I thought it was an awesome performance. And like I said, running, blocking, everything. And that's the thing that just feels good. We got the ground game going. And also just overall, the ground game looks significantly better than what it did at the very beginning of the season. I know it's the Bengals. I know that Bengals run defense has not been good, but they were able to take advantage of it, because at the very beginning of the season, no matter what defense we were going against, we couldn't run it. But we're seeing that this, if you want more confirmation that the run game is looking good, you got it today. And man, we're Bears fans. When we can run the football like this, it just makes you feel good. It just makes you feel darn good. But let's see what we're saying out here. We got, oh yeah, we'll talk about Hightower. We'll definitely talk about Hightower soon, for sure. And yeah, Loveland game. Loveland had a good game. 7 targets, 6 catches, 118 yards. Colston Loveland looked good. And then at the very, very end, it's funny because for anyone that watches the show knows that my biggest critique of Colston Loveland was that he never breaks tackles. And he breaks the tackle at the very end to win the game. And my dad was like, who doesn't break tackles now, Brad? Just like it was awesome. But I was like, hey, we didn't wrap up. That's the reason why. That's the reason why. But Colson came in through the clutch, and you could tell he was like gassed after that, and he was like trying to run in. But man, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. What's good? We got T-Dub out there. We got J2K. Bear down to y'all. Hope y'all are doing well. And yeah, I agree with Squeegee. Like, just Manungai's effort, like, it is so contagious. And just when you see somebody that doesn't want to go down, that just is constantly fighting and constantly churning, that's what you want to see. And it's great. And then too, like we said, he can block, never fumbled the football before. Yet again, do I think that he's all of a sudden going to be this stupendous running back that's then this absolute starter? No, and I think that part of it is like the long speed, right? You did see that on display today. And also, I'm glad that people kind of saw Manungai's vision a little bit more, because I heard some people talking, questioning, and like saw it on Twitter, people kind of questioning his vision. Kyle Manungai has phenomenal vision. He showed that in college. And yeah, there was one play that I remember last week that announcers called out, and they're like, yeah, he should have went out to the right side. And he should have, but he didn't. But Kyle Manungai really was able to show that vision, being able to, there's multiple times that he had to cut back, but he's not afraid to battle it in between the trenches. And there's times that it's not even the offensive line pushing him forward. He's pushing himself forward, and he's doing that. And just, man, he's just fun to watch, man. He's just like any guy that just freaking bulldozes people over like that and just keeps on fighting. Man, I love it. So we'll see what ends up happening, because Swift was banged up. So that is something that we'll keep tabs on for sure. And then Oracle, what's good? Bear down to you. And yeah, all 22, man. I wish I could just watch the all 22 with y'all again, because that's the big thing. Today, I'm not going to talk a lot about individual performances besides Manungai. But like with a lot of it is, I feel like I want to watch the tape, because let's actually just continue straight into the offense, because let's talk a little bit more about this offense as a whole, because like we said, running game was able to get going. And as we know, the pass blocking has been, the run blocking has been phenomenal. But let's flip over to the passing game. And actually, I am curious just to see what y'all are saying with this. I'm actually just genuinely curious. How would you grade Caleb's performance? I want to know what chat has to say about this. I think that this is going to be a polarizing game. I think that this is going to be the most polarizing Caleb Williams game that we have. So I'm genuinely curious. How would you grade the game? Because this is, yet again, not watching the tape with some of this, I thought that he ran the ball very, very effectively. But I'm curious what was happening downfield. Yet again, we don't see a lot of that stuff, because obviously we're all watching the same live game. We can't see what the wide receivers are doing. But I'll throw out an interesting stat. He was holding onto the ball 3.77 seconds, which is the longest that I've seen, and we covered Justin Fields for 3 years, right? I really want to see what was going on back there. And like not back there, but like in the front. That's the thing where it's like, what is happening? You have Rome Odunze, you have DJ Moore, Colson Loveland can get open. Zacchaeus is yet again, an adequate wide receiver 3. I'm just thinking, like, what is happening down the field? What is going on down the field that is causing commotion, that was causing us to, quite frankly, this is the worst. They're a bad run defense. They were the worst passing defense. And that's where it's like, okay, I expected more picking apart. I expected a little bit more of that, because you're going against that type of a defense. So that's where I was a little bit more like, what was going, like, just to kind of know more about what was happening, because it just felt off, right? It felt like it could have been better, and it felt off. And I'm not pointing it directly at Caleb or directly at Caleb with this. I'm just saying right. I feel like we all agree. It just felt weird, right? If our wide receivers were locked up, because I know that like there was a handful of routes, like what was it, in the red zone, right? Caleb was looking Rome's way, Rome slips, right? And then Rome had, if we want to talk about someone who didn't have a good game, Rome did not have a good game, right? He multiple drops. Let's see what Rome Odunze 0 0 catches, 0 yards, 3 targets. He's on my fantasy team. This stings a little bit. Like that's where like it was that feeling of like going back to the Rome thing of, if you want to be a true number 1 wide receiver, we got to have that confidence in you. And that's where, like, yeah, in the red zone, they were turning to him. He was in single coverage, slips, right? And yes, people can slip on routes or other things like that. But that was the primary read. It happened. And there's other things too where, yeah, it did feel like some routes weren't necessarily open. But it also felt like there was times, yet again, without watching the all 22, it felt like the check down was open, right? Like Monangai was right there and Caleb kind of held on to it. And I think even the broadcast even kind of mentioned it a little bit too. This was the Adam Archuleta broadcast, so you take it with a grain of salt as well, because I don't agree with a lot of the things that they say in that broadcast. But yeah, that's where it just felt off. And obviously we scored a lot, but I think that a lot of it was down to the running more so than necessarily the passing performances. I think that you can look at the stat line, and if you love stats, like just the pure raw stats and fantasy football, Caleb had a great game for fantasy football. Like, having 2 catches, 22 yards and a touchdown. But like, yeah, you look at it, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's great. That's good. It's just the actual game itself just felt off yet again. Not sure why. Because also we'll talk about the blocking too. As of right now, I saw this stat out there on the web, but then also I looked at PFF stats as well. They accounted Dahlman for 0 pressures. 0 pressures for Jonah Jackson and 0 pressures for Joe Thuney, which is great on the interior. 11.4% pressure rate allowed from Theo Benedett. That's not good. And it felt that way too when watching the game. It felt like that left side has been collapsing. That has been something that we've talked about on this show, where I'll say it again. Caleb's worst performances in my mind, where I feel like he looks the most uncomfortable, has come with Theo at left tackle. I'm not calling for a new left tackle or anything like that. I'm just calling a spade a spade. It feels that way when that's out there. Now, Braxton is on IR, and you've already benched him, and it's time to move on, right? It's time to move off of that train with everything, and you pretty much have Theo. And what we know about Ozzie is the right tackle. Ozzie is the right tackle that they might want to leverage as a swing. And I love that, yet again, as we've talked about, he's the Dan Feeney. He is going to be a tight end in some situations and other roles like that, and I think it's a great role for him. Yet again, would I spend a 2nd round pick on that? That is up for debate. And but I think that that's where the pressure rate's coming from. And I think the optimistic thing, the happy thing to think about this is that your offensive line is really good. You have, yet again, Jonah Jackson. Dahlman is phenomenal. Joe Thuney is phenomenal. Darnell Wright looks phenomenal. That's great, right? I love that. And yeah, and I quite frankly like the way that they're using Ozzie. And I like that they're putting him out in those different spots. And I like that they can use that. And I think that's something that if you want to feel optimistic about the line, it's like this line can be really good. And we have all these awesome playmakers. And if Monangai looks like a guy, right? We saw that today. And that's where you can have that optimism. But it's still that feeling of it sounds so greedy, but it's I want more out of this. I want more just genuine consistency out of this passing offense. And with that being said, I also want to say this too. Can we please, Ben Johnson, can we please stop passing the football on 2-point conversions? Can we please stop doing that whole thing? We're averaging over 7 yards a carry. And they're like, what should we do what should we do for this 2-point conversion? I know, let's pass the ball. That's the only thing that I'll critique the great Ben Johnson on is to me, that's it. To me, it's come on, man, dude, just pound it in. We've been able to run it on them like crazy. And I think that we almost try to get a little bit too cute. Oh, well, we need a couple little yards. It's give it to Monangai. He's been churning. He's been doing this, and they haven't been able to stop him. Hand it to him. That's what you need to do. And then every time we pass it in the red zone, it feels like if you're giving, and this I will critique Caleb with. in the red zone, you have to be very decisive, very quick, and just throw. Like, right? You have to be, okay, this person's open, quick, bullet it, accurate, get that. And he doesn't seem to be doing that this year. So and that's where a lot of the touchdowns seem to be like on kind of easier passes like that when you're down in the red zone. That's why to me, just run it in. Just run it in, keep running the Manun guy, and try to get that into the touchdown area. But speaking of Ben Johnson being cute, I really like these trick plays that they were running and throwing out there. You know, you're going against the Bengals, so you might have not needed to unleash so many. But man, yeah, Tyson Bagent throwing Caleb Williams a pass. Gotta love that. Like, it was one of those where like, wait, Bajanson? What the heck are they doing? And it looked great. And then you had even just like the screens that they were throwing. They threw a screen to DJ. DJ, 4 catches, 72 yards. DJ Moore is Mr. 4 catches a game. Like, it's always 4 catches. They're giving him 4 catches a game. And man, he just looks like it's just little things that they throw out that way. And then, yeah, the pass with Cole Kmet, drop by Roma Dunze. But still, like, I like that. And yet again, some of those trick plays are not going to work. But I'd rather have a coach that is taking risks and trying to do things like that. And you also saw a little spark when you had Tyson Bagent pass that ball. Like, it was cool. Like, right, Tyson goes out, he passes the ball, throws it to Caleb. That's stuff that I like. I absolutely love. Yeah, it's not the Oompa Loompa call as well. But yeah, and that's the thing. In the red zone, run it in. That's my only thing. Red zone, second down, do stuff like that. But yeah, like that's the feeling. But let's keep on talking about a little bit more, and let's keep on going through. So yeah, this offense, I just yet again, I wanted. And I think too, right? We had less penalties. Let me kind of flip back over to this as well. Penalties only 7, right? Still a lot, but not as much as we've normally done. So that's good. 2 penalties on Theo. And then, yeah, there was like illegal hands to the face, handful of other little penalties here and there. But yeah, cleaner operation. But yeah, I just really want to watch the tape. I just want to see what was going on, because something felt off. That was my whole piece. It's just like something felt off with the passing game. Running game was just constantly just like domination. You gotta love that. But the last little bits that I'll actually mention about this, little more Manungai love as well. Manungai led the league so far this week in rushing yards over expected, one of my favorite stats, at a whopping 2.47 rushing yards over expectation. So what that means, he's getting more than expected. So not only is he running it, he's running it hard. He's getting extra yards. Gotta love that. Then also too, 3rd highest efficiency as a runner, according to NFL Next Gen stats. What does that mean? It means he's getting it. He's being decisive with the ball, and he's running. So that's one of my other favorite stats. Like, the next people in front of him were Rico Dowdle, who had a phenomenal game. And then also too, Derrick Henry, who also, yet again, Derrick Henry, very, very good company to be in when you talk about just efficiency. It's finding the hole and going and just being aggressive like that. Yet again, blocking does help that stat because you can find the hole easier. But yeah, just great game on the ground. So gotta love it. But let's keep on going through this as well. Let's flip over. Actually, let's talk a little bit of injuries, because I do need to bring this up as well. And this also goes a little bit into the offense, and then we'll kind of transition over to the defense, and then we'll talk about the special teams. I was actually going to start out talking about special teams, but yeah. So let's talk a little bit about just this overall offense, and I'm actually going to pull up in my notes 2 that I had as well. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up just with the injuries, Cole Kmet, and I think that, and I want to call this out. I think Caleb had some slightly better ball placement than he has before. And Ben Johnson, others have talked about this, where the yards after the catch, so much is based on where that ball is being placed. And you saw that on a couple plays, it was right there. And when the ball is right there as you're on the run, you're able to keep going and go with that. That one throw to Cole Kmet, little high, and they even said it on the broadcast, high, and then he ends up getting smacked. And he ends up getting a concussion. We'll see how long Cole Kmet's out for. But props to Durham Smythe for just being somebody that can kind of fill in for that role, but also to seeing Colson have that great game. Hopefully that builds some confidence between him and Caleb. This was one of the worst teams covering, the worst team at covering tight ends. So this is a great little booster, right? It's about chemistry. It's about confidence with your receivers. So that's something that I really liked about this game. But then also the other side, Dayo Dengbo goes down. And Dayo Dengbo gets injured. Before that, wasn't really doing anything, and just still looked like Dayo Dengbo. We'll have to kind of monitor that. It was an ankle injury. But on the flip side, Dayo Dengbo goes down, and our boy, everyone's favorite defensive end. No offense to Dayo Dengbo, but we saw Austin Booker get a sack. Also, Austin Booker right now has an initial PFF grade of an elite 90.3 in his first game back. One of my brothers and I were joking. We're like, it's good that he doesn't have the typical Dennis Allen body size because of how quick he is, right? Like, Dennis Allen's probably like, you know what? He needs to add more weight. He needs to be bigger. He needs to be fatter. And then he could play in my system. Like, Booker looked great. Booker looked really good. And we saw that sack, obviously, just absolutely bulldozing that one player over. I thought Booker looked good. This was a lot better than I expected. I thought he looked great. And that was something that I didn't expect out of Booker right then and there. So I didn't expect him to play to that level. And so to me, I loved it. And let's keep him out there. Let's keep him out there. He played great. And I want to watch the tape more just to see how he played against the run. But you consistently saw him. He was going against their best offensive lineman. And he was able to still get past and still create some sort of disruption. And that's what this defense has needed. Obviously, we still let up, over 400 passing yards, so it didn't fix everything. But it's a step in the right direction. That we have struggled to generate a pass rush, and he comes out there and played well. So to me, that was great. And that was just, it was fun to watch, and it was just nice to see somebody actually beating the guy in front of him. Relatively consistently, just thought he played very, very well. So props go out to him. Also too, CJ Gardner-Johnson was everywhere. He was tied for second most tackles, with getting 6. And also, he was charted with 2 run stops. He was able to just fly around, make some plays. He played very well, I thought. And yet again, you're going against these elite wide receivers, but for someone that was just on the couch and comes in, plays well, gets a sack, that's where it feels like because because we have him, he's able to play more of that Kyler Gordon role than say when we had McLeod out there as the slot, which it did seem like. And speaking of McLeod was out there a handful of times. It seemed like Tyreek Stevenson wasn't fully healthy. I don't know. It seemed like this was one of the Tyreek bad games. Just it wasn't great for him. Maybe it's just like maybe he's good against good wide receivers and okay wide receivers, but when it's elites, then that's because he had a bad game against Dallas. Bad game now. It felt like he had a bad game against Cincinnati as well. So that's my feeling with that. Like, obviously, we'll see next week. They're going against the Giants. Not really any elite people out there. But yeah, Tyreek didn't have a great game. Yet again, I don't think you just throwing the towel on him. Corners can have up and down games for it. Montez Sweat coming away with a sack. Personally, if we want to talk about refs, that was a fumble. That was a fumble. Like, he literally put his hand on the ball, twisted it sideways, and then they launched it sideways. Like, that's a fumble. And also, too, I don't know about anybody else, that second touchdown catch by T. Higgins, that totally was not a touchdown. Like, and I will die on that grave. That was not a touchdown. He literally had the ball and was fumbling it as he's going out of bounds. And it felt like the refs were more so like, yeah, he didn't get out of bounds yet. Yeah, that's a touchdown. Rather than like, no, he didn't even have possession. He was still bobbling the ball when he fell out of bounds. That's not a touchdown. So yeah, I'll die on that hill. Will they still have scored? Probably. But yeah, it wasn't a touchdown the first time. I'll take that away. But yeah, just going on with this defense too. Speaking of other little kind of bad calls, Tremaine Edmonds, that was a touchdown, right? Just give it to him. Like the guy wasn't even making a play. I know it's that technicality where it's like, okay, he didn't do that. Like he didn't bring that guy down. So to me, it wasn't great. But I would have loved to see that. So that was my feeling, is that I would have loved to see Tremaine Edmonds kind of have that pick six. And I just thought that it was out there. So Brad, don't tie any heels. Yeah, thank you. But yeah. So let's see. So what else do we have out here as well? Just kind of looking through some of the defensive side of the stats. Like I said, I thought that Austin Booker played very well. I really like that. Yet again, I didn't see anything else kind of really jump out. I thought Montez, solid game. But the other thing too, let's kind of flip over back to their actual offensive stats. I want to applaud them for stopping the run. This was a team, and I want to give this defense a lot of props. Coming into this game, Chase Brown had life. I think it was like around 6 yards per carry. I didn't bring this up in the preview, but Chase Brown was someone that this running game was getting going. Samaje Perine, who ended up going out, he was doing very well, and he had a lot of yards. Same thing with Chase Brown. Bears come in, 3.4 yards a carry for Chase Brown with this. This defense, I feel a lot more confident stopping the run. And I'll bring up last week when they were going against the Ravens, only allowing 3.2 yards a rush for Derrick Henry. And yes, the quarterbacks were able to run and juice that up a little bit higher. But that's something that that's a good run defense. That's stopping the run and doing things better than the average team that is going out there. So the defense was not able to stop the pass, but the run stopping was great. That was something that really want to kind of shout out there. And also let me kind of go into some of the comments. Broski, what is good? Bear down to you. I did notice. Yeah, Caleb was like shaking on the sidelines. I saw that. He looked really, really mad. Even Kevin Byard apologized in a post-game interview next to his locker, saying that he didn't like his own body language. So that's the thing. I feel like that's everyone was down with that, but they were able to kind of come back to this. So yeah. But let's see. Let's see what else we have out here. But let's see. This game, trade perspectives. I still firmly stand. I do not want to trade for a corner. I think trading for a corner feels very much like what Poles was doing before, where it's like, why did we give a 5th round draft pick for Dan Feeney? Or not Dan Feeney, that center that we had that was from like the Jets, where it's like, he's just a backup. I don't want any 1-year rentals. I think that's my biggest piece is I don't want any 1-year rentals because especially at the cornerback position, just because the cornerback position, your biggest problem is that your starters aren't healthy. So if you're trading away a draft pick, they're not going to be fighting for a spot. If it's a defensive lineman, I feel I'm more up for it depending on what the potential is, right? Like if it's someone that can be a true starter that could potentially blossom into something like that, then I'm more up for it, just because the defensive line is not good. Or like it's still up in the air with a lot of those pieces. So to me, that's where I feel like you need to, if you trade for one like that, just to kind of see some of the like potential upside. I might be able to do a show on the trade targets. I'll just have to see. Work's been a little crazy, so I was actually doing a little bit of work before this, so that's the big thing. And let's see what else we got out here. No rentals. Poles agrees. And sometimes because I saw like the what was it? Someone was saying Breece Hall. Like, do you want to trade for a running back? No, do not trade for a running back. Don't trade for a running back, man. Like. Just because, like, you don't need one right now. And a lot of the running backs that are out there are 1-year rentals yet again. And do I think that you're going to replace, and right now Swift was playing well. And I think that the thing that you absolutely cannot do is you can't, say, hey, Swift, you've been playing great. None guy's been playing great. Hey, here's this other guy coming in. Because, yeah, I saw someone was like, Breece Hall for a 3rd-round pick. It's like, no. Just take the phone away from polls unless. And I even saw, like, Kayvon Thibodeau kind of get passed around, too. I don't know how I feel about that just because if you get him, you're probably going to have to pay him after a while. And he's a good player, but yet it's kind of a similar situation to Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat is playing like Montez Sweat right now. He's playing like a good player, like a really good player. But he's not playing, like, he's not a Bosa. He's not a, Myles Garrett. He's not that upper echelon. He's a good player, though. Like, and I think that's the thing is, like, right now, I think some people want more out of Montez Sweat, but this is Montez Sweat. This is just how he is. And this is, like, the type of player that he is. He's just good run defender, and he'll give you solid, consistent pass rush, but he's not going to all of a sudden take over the pass rush game like he did his first year when he was over with us. So, yeah. And then also, yeah, conversation about Dexter. Yeah, like, I think Dexter's trying to penetrate a little bit, and I don't know. I'm curious how the coaching is for him because, yeah, it just feels like he doesn't seem as consistent like that he was the year before, and he's still playing well. Like, I'll watch the tape. Like, I think he's penetrating a lot more, especially in the passing game. He's actually done a decent amount. Running, not as much, but I thought that there was a lot more ceiling with that. But yeah, let's see what else we got out there too. But yeah, we have to talk about the pass. We have to talk about just like the overall game from Flacco. 470 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Bears, bravo, coming away with the interceptions, coming away with the turnovers. Obviously, that the turnovers are the big part with what this defense does. Now, this is something that I've been consistent on with this show is I love turnovers. I want to see turnovers as much as possible. I would like to also see, and call me greedy, I want to see more just punts. I want to see the other team punt more. There was only 1 punt today. And that's the thing that, like, just it felt like they were, and I was talking about the passing game before. It's the feeling, right? And these stats, I see some people out there in the comments kind of talking about like some of Caleb's stats. Caleb had 3 touchdowns, 280 yards. But I think like the biggest thing is just the feeling of how it kind of, and how you got those, right? And I'm not going to throw everything onto the Colson Loveland touchdown because, yeah, if you take that away, you're talking about a 220-yard game. But the thing is that, like, yeah, I think that there's just, I want to watch the tape. I think that's the biggest thing. I need to see the tape. I need to see what the heck was going on. Because it's just like, I think it gives me like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, there's got to be something. So, yeah. Yeah. But let's keep on going and let's see. Yeah, 3 turnovers, punt return, and onside kick. Bengals offense was a mixed bag. Yeah, the thing that I kept like asking was, I was like, oh man, they got to run it more because we're stopping the run. But yeah, it just felt like every time that they were throwing it, it just felt like when the Bengals threw it, it just felt like they were always open. And it just felt like things were, yeah, like people were open. And the thing that I just want to kind of like, it's concerning is you have your linebackers in, you have your starting safeties in, you have Tyreek Stevenson. Yet again, I felt like Tyreek didn't play the way that he normally does. And also I thought that CJ Gardner-Johnson played well. Yet again, coverage is always something hard to watch on the broadcast. You can't really watch it on the broadcast, but it just felt like someone was always open and someone was getting open. And the thing too was I didn't feel like you could put a lot on the pass rush because yeah, there was times that the pass rush wasn't great, but it felt like Flacco was also getting the ball out quick sometimes, like so that the pass rush couldn't even affect him. He was just getting it out and throwing it deep. Like he ended up getting 3 yards average completion 3 yards of on average let me rephrase that 9 yards per throw for average completion air yards. So that's pretty darn high. So that was something that just was, it just felt like they could pass it on us at will, and they could pass it quickly. Now, the other piece, too, that I also just will, on the flip side, applaud the Bears defense for only allowing one explosive run. So that's 10-plus yards only on one carry. Yet again, this run defense has been playing very well. I like it. But it definitely, when you're going against, like what Nacho's saying, when you go against two elite wide receivers, that's what they did. The other thing, too, was Chase Brown also was able to eat up the linebackers a little bit. Yoshivas also had a pretty good game. But yeah, Chase Brown was able to get open, make some moves on these linebackers. But hey, you come away with the win. You got some tape to then watch and grind to get better. So now, if you're at home and you have a drink, now's the time to drink because we're getting into the special teams review. All right, let the hate comments flow. How do you feel? Here, I'll ask a question. How do you feel about? No. Let me do this. Yeah. How would you grade? Actually, I'm not even going to ask it. We all know. It's an F. Yeah. We got FF minus. We got gross. Everything. We got puke. We got people puking. Yeah. An old graybeard knew no say hit his wide receivers. Like, I love it. But yeah, like, dude, it was awful. Let's load the stats. Because obviously it started out with the kick return. And the kick return was like, all right, well, here we are. Kick return, Charlie Jones. Then after that, you have Samaje Perine running one back. And here's the thing that just grinds my gears. And I jotted this down as something to like mention. I was going to mention this at the very start, but since the Bears won, I wanted to get into that. It feels so bad. It like when you talk about who was going to lose this game for the Bears, there is no bigger finger to point than the special teams. Like, yeah. Could we have been more efficient? Yeah. Could we have done less penalties? Yeah. Could the passing defense, could have it been a little bit better? Yes. But this special teams was trying to lose. It felt like the first play, touchdown. And it felt like he didn't even get touched. Like then after that, we returned the kick to the 27-yard line. And then after that, the next kick they get, they return it all the way to the 45-yard line. And then do you know what we did with when we got the ball back on the kick return? We brought it back out to the 25-yard line. Why is it that everyone else gets the ball out on the 35, the 40 when they go against us, but we can't even get it past the 30? It's like we get it past the 30 like once or twice. And that's it. and also, too, Josh Blackwell, I don't have him as a kick returner. I know that we have Luther Burden out right now. Like, we need Luther Burden back. Josh Blackwell cannot kick return. And every time he touches the ball, he's bobbling it. And it makes me nervous because he's already fumbled it once on this year. But man, when he brings it back, it's scary. It's scary in a bad way. I felt like we had so many kick returners and punt returners that we were talking about in the offseason. Like, oh man, we got a whole slew of guys. And now it's like, where did those guys go? Because right now we just have Devin Duvernay, and that's it. Duvernay didn't have a great game returning, I felt. But yeah, 0 punt returns as well. And that's something like we talked about. They only were able to punt the ball one time. Now, credit to Torrey Taylor. Punted it 69 yards. Nice. Was his longest and inside the 20. But yeah, like he didn't have to punt much, like what Caleb said at the very beginning. But man, it was bad. The punt returns were at least a little bit closer and like you felt good about that. But man, you didn't have that. And 2, I'm just genuinely curious. This I'll actually ask. Who do you want as your kicker? I'm genuinely curious about this. Moody or Santos? Like I said, y'all know that I watched the game with my family and everything. And yeah, like Moody was the consensus out there. I still like, I don't know. I still like Santos. I'm curious like if he's banged up because man, that was just the kick that he had. The one that he missed was technically it was blocked, but there was the other one that he actually legitimately missed that they had a penalty and they were able to move it up. So yeah, I'm genuinely curious. Now, the thing that I have the thing that I'm nervous about is I think I've told y'all, my boss is a 49ers fan, and he's told me this. He's like, Brad, don't get your hopes up on Moody. He's not the answer. and he said that like as soon as we picked him up. He's like, do not do this. But here's the thing. Kickers are weird. Kickers are very, very, very weird. And yeah, Eddie Pinheiro. Exactly. We should have kept Eddie Pinheiro. I agree with Oracle. That's the answer. Eddie Pinheiro is the answer. Dude, I loved Eddie Pinheiro. But yeah, I think the thing is that like the hard part, and I agree with what J2K said, Santos is not 100%, right? He had that leg injury. The thing that I don't want to see is being a kicker. It's like so mental. It's such a mental game. Like Robbie Gould said this before. He needed to be released by the Bears. And people forget that Robbie Gould was bad at the end of his Bears career. And then he leaves the Bears. And then he ends up being really, really good for the 49ers. And he's like, no, I needed that. And it's such a mental gymnastics. So that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know what to do. To me, I just like, let's play it. I think that what they need to more so do, right? I think this is the correct answer. The Bears just need to monitor Santos's health. Like watch Cairo's health, because if he's not 100%, put in Moody. You have Moody, and keep on having Moody. Like Moody has a job on the line. He is going to try his best to make everything that he can, and if he can, awesome. But yeah, like Santos, I like question mark. I'm still a Santos guy for right now. So yeah, but yeah, you don't want a case of the yips out there. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Pinheiro's with the 49ers. Yep. I saw that he's on he's in my family league. He's on my mom's team. He's she drafts every like former Bear that's out there. Cody Parkey. We'll see, just as long as it's not from 43 yards, as that's branded into all of our Bears fans' memory. So now let's talk a little bit about most valuable Bear. We can kind of wrap things up a little bit. So let's break this down. I'm pretty sure that we know pretty sure we all know who our most valuable Bear is going to be. And actually, before we do this, y'all send out your most valuable Bear, because I do want to mention this as well, just because I see Hightower's name. I brought this up when I was watching the game with my family, and I think that this is still a really good point that I made on this show. If you are part of a job and you have to do something brand new, right? You're a manager, and I work in the tech industry. A lot of you guys know that. And AI is everything right now. There's a lot of leaders that don't know what to do with AI because they simply do not know it's brand new. And some people that might be really good managers, really good directors, really good executives don't know what to do with AI because they don't know how to handle that. They don't know how to handle change because they've always done things a very similar way of how they've operated. All that to be said, right? What does this mean, right? I don't know if, like, we changed the kickoff rule. It feels like Hightower doesn't know how to coach this new kickoff rule. It feels like, hey, I can coach the standard stuff. Not saying that he was the greatest special teams coach of all time with that stuff, but it just feels like everyone else is like, hey, did you know you could do this with the new kickoff rule? Like, it's like, I work in the AI space. Did you know that you could do this with AI and all this? And it's like, oh man, I didn't know we could do that. And like, some companies thrive off of brand new things and coming up with new ideas. But it feels like we're just stuck in like, we don't know what to do. and maybe Hightower, if, he goes and gets a different job and learns from someone else that knows how to handle this new kickoff rule, maybe it gets better. It just like, that's literally what it feels like, is it feels like he does not know how to coach this new kickoff rule. That's my only explanation, because maybe he doesn't know how to coach it, because why does it look this bad week in and week out? It's just just awful. Like it really is awful. But yeah. Let's move on. Let's talk about MVPs. I like what Nacho said. Flacco for the 4th MVP. Got Manungai. Yeah, dude, I love Manungai. So, like growing up, I played a lot of Halo with my brothers, friends, and stuff like that. And the mongoose, as we called it, that was we would call it Mon Guys. So yes, so Manungai, that is what all we have, and we're like, just rev up the Mangai, man, rev up the Mangai, rev up that mongoose, and get it going. So for any Halo players out there, yeah, because we're like, you only drive a mongoose if you're crazy, and that's Manungai right there. He's the crazy guy. But let's talk about these MVBs. I always just like to kind of break this down, just to kind of give nice little shout out to people that had great performances. Like I said, tip of the cap to what we saw with Austin Booker. I thought he played great today. And also, I want to just give a shout out to Brisker. Just with one of the run stops that I saw, he just flew through the line and blew it up. Not sure how he did with everything else, but I just wanted to shout out that play. I thought that CJ Gardner-Johnson had a good game. First game coming back off the couch and played well. And teammates seemed to love him and kind of rally around him, and he played fiery. And then Tremaine Edmonds, 9 tackles, interception, pass defense, seemed to be playing pretty darn well out there. Then on the flip side, if we go over to the actual passing, dude, it's Colson Loveland with the game-winning touchdown. Gotta love that. And he played well. He had some pretty good catch. He had some good catches. And like I've said before on this show, the dude gets open. When you compare him with Tyler Warren when they're coming out, and this was like what I brought up when they drafted him. Tyler Warren could unfortunately do it all, and he was more breaking tackles and more focused on that. But he was a clunky route runner. Colson Loveland, very smooth. And the biggest perk of Colson Loveland is his route running and his ability to get open. We saw that today. And he had a little bit of extra sauce with that broken tackle at the end. But man, I got to give it to Manungai. Manungai, to me, was phenomenal. He was the lightning rod, and every time that they wanted to give it to him, every time that they wanted to get something, the dude got it. And even when they threw him the pass, you saw him make a diving catch for one of them, but then you saw the other catch that they had, and he's breaking tackles, and he's doing it all like that. It's just, he's a hungry guy that wants to play. So to me, man, dude, he gets it. And we always say like there's like two. There's always like 2 MVBs, it seems like. And it is. It's Kyle Manungai. It's Colson Loveland. Manungai A, Colson Loveland B. Got to give it to those guys. They just played phenomenally. But man, no matter what we have, we are 5-3 going in midway of the season. Now, obviously, we still have the terrible 17 games, but this is truly the midway point. And the Bears have a tough schedule coming up. Now, the Giants have been feisty. They don't have Scatabo. But still, and then the Vikings interdivision team. But Giants, very winnable game. And if you can get that, 6-3? Let's go. And do something like that. But right now, if you split it in half, it'd be 10-6. This is a great start for this Bears season, and this is awesome for what the Bears are trying to accomplish. So this is great. Like I said, I'm going to try and see if I can get some shows out there. But we're going to be live on Wednesday, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and we'll be live on Wednesday to break down the game versus the Giants. And also, if any trades end up happening, we'll have you covered. So with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bad chick.